and Brother Kush. I have them from Washington, D.C. Brother Kush, before the break I was asking you, are we being too sensitive about this? Are we being too critical about this? Because after all, we had comedians like Flip Wilson dressing up as Geraldine, and we've seen him come all the way down the years. Wayne Brothers, and we've seen Martin Lawrence, Tyler Perry. A bunch of our comedians are doing this. So are we taking this, are we too sensitive about all this?
When you look at our community and the condition that we're in, I mean, anything that's relevant, we're rock bound, we're dead last. For the amount of time that we've been in this country, it should not be that way. And when we look at black men being put in the skirts, so Martin Lawrence, Dave Chappelle addressed the issue on the Oprah Winfrey show. He was talking about how when he was doing, I forget the movie, but he was doing a movie, and they asked him to put on a dress. And he wouldn't put on the dress. And he was in his trailer, and the director of the movie, the producer, first the scriptwriter came and they asked him to put on the dress. He wouldn't put on the dress. Then the next person up in the chain came and asked him to put on the dress. He wouldn't put on the dress. Then the director or the producer came in and said, we really need you to put this dress on. And Dave Chappelle, eloquently explained how he was saying, why do I need to wear a dress? And they were saying, because you will be funny. And he basically said, well, I will be funny without the dress. And after much prodding and a lot of time being wasted, they decided to bring in another script that they already had anyway, just in case he wouldn't do it. But he talked about it's a conspiracy with black men being forced to wear dresses. And we've seen Charles Barkley in drag. We've seen, like I said, Flip Wilson, Dennis Rodman, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence. You've seen Miss J.
Michael Strahan.
I mean, it's a whole host. This is a conspiracy, brother. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the idea and objective is to homosexualize, or at least promosexualize us, using a term from Professor Baruti. But I just want to make a quote from Dr. John Ray Clark real quick. He said, just recently the cause of blacks was linked with the cause of gays. The ship brought no gays. They brought all men with their manhood and women with their womanhood, and men who knew what to do with their manhood with no confusion. When nature or God or whoever you want to call it designed man and woman, he purposely designed them to go together. He did not design man to romance man. By design, there's not only a perfect fit with the lady, it is a glorious fit. It is something that should be approached with a certain degree of sacredness in its own time and its own place. This is why you cannot compare the African attitude with the European attitude. They are coming from different cultural points of view. The European living in various climates and the Arab living in the sand made different uses of the female and developed a different attitude towards the female. Taking out the African environment and placing the European environment, you may develop the same traits and habits of the European without knowing that many of these traits are about as un-African as they can be. So it's no doubt there's a culture being forced on us that's outside of what we know, what we can use as a people to progress. And, I'm big on the idea of progression. So Eastern behavior. And the bottom line is, at this point in time, black people are very afraid to touch on subjects or issues that are relevant to our existence. We don't have a problem watching Scandal, which is a homosexual program. We don't have problems going to Tyler Perry movies, but when it comes time to get into serious conversations, when it comes time for us to start talking about development and progression, we all of a sudden, brother, lose our taste for any kind of seriousness or desire to participate.
That's interesting that you mentioned both of those things. So what's causing this, though, Brother Kush? Why is it that we're under the inclusion, I like to call it? Why?
When you say, I don't understand what you mean.
You mentioned the Scandal, and you mentioned, I think it was Tyler Perry's set of movies, that the over-sexualized or effeminate, rather, men dressing up, and the whole homosexual issue pushed in both of those that TV series, and also, I don't know, because I haven't watched it, so I'm just taking your word for it. And the Tyler Perry's stuff, because I see him always dressed as a woman.
I meant to call you Carl. Brother Carl, I certainly understand your question now. But what it's tied to is the reality is that this world is about competition, and we have to understand that things are placed in our path so that we won't be able to compete. One of the things that's placed in our path is the destruction of the black male. That's first and foremost. The black female also, but first and foremost is the destruction of the strong black male. So once the black male is confused, once he has become marginalized, then it's easy to continue to exploit us and exploit Mother Africa, which is our holy land. But we have to look at the fact that in most situations where you have cultures that are clashing. I'm speaking of African and European. Homosexuality or the feminization of the male always takes place. It took place in Iraq and particularly in Iraq when the U.S. invaded Iraq. They were at one point talking about dropping a gay bomb on them, if you can believe that. They're actually in the lab trying to develop a bomb that would make men gay. Well, the point and purpose of that is, again, to ostracize the male, to weaken the male. Therefore, they won't fight, and they'll be easy to exploit.
All right, 800-450-7876. Speak to Brother Kush. Brother Kush, another recent actor, former football player, Michael Strahan. He's on TV on Fox on the football pregame show, and he's also on some of the show in the mornings as well. I don't watch too much of that TV. I only watch sports actually and news. So,
right.
But anyway, he put on a dress too, and that was kind of surprising. Do you think these guys have to put on dresses to make it in Hollywood? Is that the deal?
They absolutely do. The idea is that, well, if you look at the United States and look at Obama, the way he's approached these African nations who have strict anti-gay laws, I shouldn't even call it anti-gay, they have strict laws regarding freakish behavior. And when you look at that, and they're threatened when they continue to practice their cultural norm, which is man for woman and woman for man. Those are the cultural norms of Africans, and they're threatened. So in Hollywood, you see a trend. Again, this goes way back to the days when we first appeared on the screen. The point and purpose of Hollywood. You notice that I was listening to a interview yesterday with Ruby D and Ozzie Davis, and they were talking about how back past the point of World War II, for their research, they said, you know, that television started having, particularly television that was pointed towards the black community, it lacks any kind of intellectual content. And so when you talk to average black person, more than anybody, Africans in America spend more time in front of television than any other racial group. So that's where we get our learning from. That's where we get our history from. That's where we understand the world. Our view is through a very clouded and wicked lens. We don't understand. The reason why we don't know who we are and what we are and what we should be doing is because of our consumption of this media. And this media, no doubt, is forcing us, forcing the actors' hands. I mean, look at the whole hip-hop scene and how these brothers, Snoop Dogg recently popped up. He's wearing his French manicure. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, he has a French manicure, and he's come before us with his hair curled, talking about he's a pimp and these kinds of things. Brother Carl, this is highly influential in the youth in our community. If you asked them who Marcus Garvey was, they wouldn't be able to tell you. But if you asked them who Snoop Dogg was, they'd be able to tell you exactly who he is and what he does, his role. So there's a direct effort to sabotage us in our efforts to become a free people. So we have to look at it as a weapon. We have to look at the idea that these images are being forced and pushed on us. Like, you know, I remember years ago we saw the movie Pulp Fiction. We saw a movie with Ving Rhames in the movie, and he was presented as a strong man. Previously, you know, we understood him to be a strong black man, but in Pulp Fiction, he was raped by a white male. I mean, literally, and they showed it a very, very sick scene where he's actually raped openly in the movie by a white male. And the movie, the scene had nothing really to do with the movie. It was just some bizarre homosexual input by Quentin Tarantino. And again, the point and purpose is they're pushing this propaganda on us to weaken us, and it has worked. When I look at our community now, you're seeing a push towards the young boys to wear bright colored clothes like pink tennis shoes and red tennis shoes and multicolored socks, tight skinny jeans, and a lot of times not only are they tight skinny jeans, but they're actually hanging, showing the buttocks of the males. So we have a crisis in our community, and it's no longer time for us to ignore it. The message has to be that we have to save ourselves because what is tomorrow going to look like if we continue at this rate? We have to start to demand movies. We have to demand media with intellectual content. We can't continue to watch television just for the pure purpose of being entertained. The entertainment is immoral. And it's
since you went over to the hip-hop side, I saw a story recently, might have been last week, about one of these hip-hoppers who's moved to Cape Town, South Africa, and they started wearing the skirt. And he's saying he's wearing the skirt because that's what our ancestors did. Any truth to that?
Well, again, it's taken out of context. That would be most deaf. It's taken out of context, and you know, again, I applaud the brother's idea that he wants to get into the culture. But I would say study the culture before you go around doing something as radical as put on a dress. Yeah, he had a kente cloth dress on, and he said it's sad that we don't know our history, but it's really the other way around. It's sad that he doesn't know his own history. The bottom line, he comes from the United States, and we're all African at heart, but literally he comes from this culture. So,
hang on a second, because we got to take a break, Brother Kush. I'll let you finish up on Mos Def. Well, this is the rapper?
Yes.
All right, we'll talk about Mos Def wearing a dress and saying that's part of his African culture. 800-450-7876 to speak to Brother Kush. Or you can reach me on Facebook or Twitter at carlnelsonshow.com. We'll take your calls, folks, in about 2.5 minutes. And thank you for staying with us on our guest, Brother Kush. Brother Kush is discussing the feminization of our black men. We're discussing Mos Def is the name of the rapper, hip-hopper, if you will. It was now moved to Cape Town, South Africa, and there's a picture of him in the kente cloth. And Brother Abdul out of Seattle posted on Facebook, and a woman responded, and this is what she says, Brother Kush. She says, why are you guys so stuck on this skirt thing? Changing times are changing fashions. Men wore what looked like skirts in the past, and they will again. They're just clothes. She says it's just clothes. He says we're making too much of it. What say you?
The most horrible thing that happened to us is what they did to our minds during the slave trade. Again, we're not critical thinkers. And I would expect a kind of knee-jerk reaction from the typical black person, because that's really been the argument when it comes to, again, having these types of serious conversations, to just put forward as something like, for instance, when you talk to people about climate change, they just say, well, rough winter is just going to be the new norm. They're not considering all the pollution and all the other environmental degradation that's going on, very unscientific and unintellectual thinking. This same sister has got to understand that we have so many households without a black male present. We have enough households, more than 70% in our community, 74% in our community. That's a tragedy that are female led without men in their homes. There's a lot we can do, but putting on skirts is not one of those things we can do to progress and regain our confidence and our consciousness in our community.
800-450-7876. Go to calls. Let's go to line one. Kafa Kafri in New York City. Brother Kafa Kafri, you're on with Brother Kush.
Yes, Hotep, Brother Kush, and Hotep, Brother Carl Nelson. Brother Kush, I agree with you 110%. They're pushing this on us. I'm from the Caribbean. I was born in Trinidad. I grew up most of my life here, but I go back and forth, and I can see how they're pushing that down there like crazy. Young kids, I mean, I'm talking about kids 10 and 12 and kids is 19 and so on and so forth. And the homosexuality down there is getting out of hand, and they're looking to legalize it now, and and also they're looking to teach it in the schools. So you're 100% right. I agree with you on that. And we have to be like-minded. I'm here, I'm educating my daughter. My son is 23, but still, let him know what they are trying to do to us. And also, I listened to the brother Irritated Genie on Warner Rising. Yeah. And he also talks about this too, and he have a few DVDs. Are you familiar with the brother Irritated Genie? And if so, where can we pick up some of your information, your books and tapes and whatnot, and learn more about it?
Yes, you can go on our website, www.pkbstore.com. That's www.pkbstore.com. Or you can call us if you want, 202-207-7886. And someone always answers the phone, 202-207-7886. That's Positive Comedic Vision. Yeah, so, there's been, and really for me, it's been an attack on us as a people, particularly on the black male. They have promulgated a relentless campaign of homosexual behavior in the black community, and basically normal people in general. And so it's absolutely critical to the goals and objectives of white supremacy to inundate the black community with homosexuality. We have to understand that. We have to be honest about that. And that's a very tough deal to face for a lot of us, again, because we're not serious most of the times. So we've seen the infusion of homosexuality and feminization in the black church, in the public school system, black music, in the fashions, and even in the black nationalist movement. You remember recently, Brother Carl, they attempted to homosexualize Malcolm X, and they're still attempting to do that.
Wow. And so you're saying this is deliberate?
Who was a complete degenerate? He was not only a degenerate, but he was also a sellout. They turned him into a hero. They didn't lionize him, make him a hero for civil rights, and he was not. He turned on the black community. But we're willing to ignore all of that, and then recently, a few years ago, we saw Donnie McClurkin being attacked for announcing that he was renouncing homosexuality. He personally would not practice the behavior anymore. There's no doubt an attack, and we need to look at it just for what it is. It's an attack.
So you say it's very much deliberate then? It's not by accident?
It's deliberate. There's a conditioning process going on, no different than the conditioning process of a slave. We have no knowledge or no history of being homosexuals, and all of our historians can point to that. And now, of course, you have various pseudo-scholars and promosexuals and homosexuals out there putting forward that, there was homosexuality in Africa, there were homosexual kings and things of that nature. But the reality of it is all false information. It's absolutely ridiculous. We lived in a society that progressed, and it was the first, we showed the world culture. We showed the world how to eat, how to survive, how to get along with nature, even. And that was done with the exacting cooperation between the black man and the black woman.
All right, 800-450-78.
Also, Brother Kush, yes, I would like to mention that they look at the record. I believe it's an 18-foot statue of Columbus down there at the shores of Trinidad. Yes. So they are uneducated the people down there also.
Yes, and that's the point I'm making. They can put that 18-foot statue there because they don't recognize Columbus for what he was. He was a butcher. He killed red and black people with impunity.
And you know what, Brother Kavakari, brother, is down in Trinidad right now. In fact, he just left and went to Suriname, and that's his name just slipped out of my head. Wow, somebody help me here. The brother who's related to Freedom Fighter.
Freedom Fighter.
Yeah. He's down in Trinidad, and he's actually going to Suriname, and he spoke in Trinidad because they wanted him. So if that brother, if he's still on the line, if you have people down there, and you can tell them that he's down, and I'll pull his name up in a minute because I'm drawing a blank here. But anyway, let's take another call while I search for his name. Brother Umar Johnson. I'm sorry. The senior moment. Brother Umar Johnson was down there this weekend.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure he will tackle that question if you say the young people in Trinidad are doing that. 800-450-7876. Keep going. Let's go to line 3. Kale's in D.C. Kale, you're on with Brother Kush.
Brother Carl Nelson, the world's greatest talk show host with the world's greatest talk show, and one of the world's greatest fighters, Brother Kush. I'm telling you, the people, look, we got what we need to win. We got people like Brother Kush. I mean, I think one of the problems we got is that we who I'm talking about, African Americans here, my generation, we have become probably maybe some of the most hypocritical people on the planet. What I mean by that, a lot of us my age, we know what's right. And we know when we hear, our heart can hear better than our ears when we hear the truth from Brother Kush or others that we hear. But rather than admit that we are addicted to something that's very smelly, I won't say what it is, we won't admit that we're addicted to that and that it's bad and we really need to fight against it. We'll try to make it all right, like the European taught us to, because that's what they've been doing. And I'll say the last thing is this. Who gave us the story of vampires, people sucking blood and turning into wolves? Did that come out of Africa? Did that come out of Egypt? Who are these people that run Hollywood and own Hollywood? And who are these people that are making these movies? And who is it that was referred to as you judge a tree by the fruit it bears? What are they talking about? Why we keep pussyfooting around with who we talking about? They have always been on the attack. So, brothers like Kush and many, many others, the vanguard of protecting us, but we got to have the guts to stand behind them. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kale. Brother Kush, you want to respond to anything that he said?
Brother Kale said it all, and I'd just like to add to it is that if anyone that don't believe what the brother is saying or want to disagree, we have to look at the results. Let's look at where we are right now. We don't have any resources in our community. I'm living in Washington, D.C., and we're right next door to Prince George's County, which is supposedly the richest and most well-educated group of black people in the United States and possibly on planet Earth, and we don't have any business conglomerates coming out of that community. So we have a real serious problem. We're still very much slaves, and even in 2014.
Is it because there's some sort of disconnect between those who quote unquote made it and the rest of us who are still out there struggling? Those who have made it cannot identify with us. Is that the problem?
Well, the thing is, we understand we have to be taught certain ideologies, and we're taught that from the time we enter school. I was just talking about how when I was in school, it wasn't until I was in junior high. I'm sorry, I didn't. It was when I went into high school. I'm sorry.
Right. Hold that thought right there, because we're going to take another break, Brother Kush. We got a traffic and weather update. I'll let you finish on the other side. Folks, you too can join the conversation with Brother Kush. What's happening to our community? Is it by design or accident? Feminization of our black man. 800-450-7876. That's 800-450-7876. Speak to Brother Kush. Take your phone calls for him in about 2.5 minutes.
Any serious black history until I had entered high school. And even then, it was all about being enslaved. Who was writing the curriculum for the schools, and what's the point and purpose? The people who are writing the curriculum for the schools are racist, white supremacists, and that continues even to this day. So the bottom line is that, of course, all this is on purpose, and of course that this is a very meticulously crafted system, again, designed to make sure that we don't gain any type of momentum, that we don't have any type of progress. And, it's kind of scary when you think about the fact that a vast majority of us don't want to get involved in any kind of serious dialogue about it because we are having so much fun because we're so blind.
So we're not overcritical as far as you're concerned.
We're not critical enough. We never complain. We have when we're inundated with a bunch of Tyler Perry movies and of comedians coming in and out of town. When we turn on the radio dial, we're hearing the N-word thrown around. And incidentally, there's an issue going on right now with the NFL. They are preparing for the second year, to attempt to ban the N-word, the usage of the N-word. And again, you can tell, how we've been destroyed culturally just by the fact that so many black people are holding on to the N-word like it's oxygen, like it's as important as oxygen. And what's really interesting is about that, and I'll tell you how you know it's planned. Before, if you said anything remotely, like the word faggot, or you said baggy or something like that, it wasn't a big deal. Now that word is banned, and it was in a relatively short amount of time. So any word can be banned. Just the right people, the people in power, decide what they're going to ban. And trust me, brother, they're not choosing to ban this word. There's a good brother who's behind a movement to ban this word in the NFL, but it's the black men in the NFL that want to fight this term as though it's the biggest issue today. And when they're considering the fact that it's difficult to divorce that term, think about the fact that we've divorced the so-called homophobic terms, although I don't even agree with a word like a made-up word like homophobia. Look how quickly we were able to renounce and ban those quote-unquote anti-gay words and statements in the locker room.
Yeah, it seems like a movement. 800-450-7876. Go to line 1. Doc's in Maryland. Doc, you're on with Brother Kush.
Hi, Brother Kush. Hi, Carl. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. My wife and I have been talking about this for the past number of years. It's not just black kids. It's all boys. They are, if you act like a normal boy, they put you on medication.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. They put you on the ADHD medication. They suspend children for doing things that we did as kids. And they've given children rights, and they're filling their heads. You're right, they are brainwashing them, but it's even worse than you realize, because normal behavior that we displayed as kids is now outlawed, and there's so much going on that it's really difficult to like you say, discuss it, because it gets involved in politics. And
what you're talking about is the medicalization of normal behavior. It's not just in children, but it's a whole different subject in a way. They're also medicalizing when you are in grief. For instance, when a relative or a loved one dies, these are normal things that happen throughout one's lifetime. You know, we're going to leave this world the same way we came in it, and now all of a sudden you're being diagnosed with some type of depression, and you're being given a prescription. But that's all about the drug companies' power, because anytime money's involved, you know, it's corrupt anyway. When it's vast sums of money involved. But what we're talking about here is the feminization of black males. Now, I understand you said it's not just black boys, but the focus is on black boys. Years ago, there was a study done. This was a long time ago. We're talking probably about 40 years ago, and they do this study every now and then where they take and they canvass the black community and find out who's in agreement with same-sex behavior, who's in agreement with homosexuality, and they find out that a lot of other groups have accepted the transition to accepting this lifestyle, but the holdout has been in the black community. So in order to adjust, so they do these studies to adjust their efforts. So what they do is they start introducing sexual alternatives to our youth. Now, again, they aren't teaching us about black people. Hello?
Exactly. You're exactly right. That's what's going on right now. They're allowing boys to wear dresses and to choose whether they want to play with dolls, and they encourage them, but guns are banned. You can't even draw a picture of a gun, but you can have a doll. You can wear pretty colors. I heard a mom talk to her son the other day. He said he liked these. He pointed to some women's shoes and said he thought they were pretty. And she goes, "Do you like those? Do you want them?" Instead of saying, "Those are women's shoes, Johnny. Those are meant for women, not for boys." She asked him if he wanted them. He was 45 years old. Children, they're being brainwashed, and the parents are doing it, and the teachers are doing it. It's awful.
You have to also look at it from a historical perspective, and that's why I make the racial distinction. Like, for instance, look at ancient Rome, ancient Greece, where they had, like, the classical writers like Herodotus and Plato, who were homosexual.
The Greeks.
So, the Greeks, exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm saying that, this is a norm for European culture. That's why I'm not mentioning European culture, because this comes from the European mindset, and I don't have a problem with that, because they're still in power. They're the world's foremost power at this point in time. They represent a small minority of the Earth's population, but they control the entire Earth. I don't think anybody that has the ability to read can disagree with that. But what I'm talking about is a group of people, Africans. We have 1 billion people in Mother Africa, and we have so little power. And even here in the United States, we have upwards of 44 million black people in this country, and we don't have any power. When I look around in the black communities, I don't see us doing it for self. I don't see us having a business infrastructure. I don't see us having any kind of cultural incubators. I don't see us having an educational platform. So what I'm saying is that we're the ones that we have to focus on ourselves. I'm talking about for black people, we have to focus on ourselves and what's ailing us as a community. One of the things that's ailing us as a community is the feminization of our males and the attack on normal behavior. You have to understand that the American Psychiatric Society, they in 1973, they shifted before homosexuality was a mental illness.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
All right, Doc. Thanks for your call.
To our kids. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, let's keep moving. 800-450-7876. Go down to the ATL, Atlanta. Line 3, Fahim. Fahim, you're on with Brother Kush.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Timely subject. I'd like to make a couple of comments, and then ask Brother Kush for some historical direction. My comment is the identity crisis that we suffer from in the black community as being men. When I look at us, we have no historical reference. We go to a theater and we come out and we want to take on the characteristics of the particular character, be it Superfly, Superman, Batman, or Kato. And when I look at historical programs on TV, we are completely absent. And where the story is about us, they change the appearance of us and the history of it. I recently went to a black bookstore in Atlanta, and I was happy going, wow, this is a black bookstore, I get the black book. And I bought a book on Hannibal. when I opened up the book, it said this is pretty much the absolute truth about what happened in Carthage. And it started with black people, what they do when they wanted to reign and different things like this is they kill babies. And it put us down, and it started anointing them. But the Caucasians, the Europeans, they were God-fearing. And the book went on, and it just got worse where I couldn't even read it. So I'm disillusioned as to where to even find black history. Most recently, Kit Gates put on a TV program about many rivers to cross. But it's just dealing, it's just, and it was, I do see it as important, but it was just dealing with us as slaves. And we have much more history than that, but it's not shown, and there's no reference in America. And I think this is one of the problems that we suffer from, is that there is no reference that we could look on and see ourselves in a positive light.
All right, hang on a second, Flame, because we got to take a break at the top of the hour. And when we come back, I'll let you finish up with your question for Brother Kush. Folks, you too could join the conversation with Brother Kush at 800-450. Thank you for staying with us, and Brother Kush. Brother Kush, I'll let you finish up your response to anonymous question. He wants to know when you guys are going to have another function.
Yeah, again, it's every month, so we're always busy with our Open Community University, as Dr. Bobby Wright calls it. We'll be having a program on April the 12th, and that'll be our anniversary. I'll be speaking at the anniversary, at our anniversary celebration. I'll be our 22nd anniversary. Then May 11th, Mother's Day program. But not more importantly, but really important to this topic, is there's a program we have on June 7th, Saturday, June 7th. It's called Ambushed, the Queer Assault on Straight People. That's the title of the program. You don't want to miss that program, because we want to really get in depth in this conversation. We talk about the bullying of straight people, particularly black males in the community, how we're being forced to accept a death style, how we're being forced to accept a foreign ideology. And we have to understand that at this point in time, we're fighting this fight because, we've accepted what's abnormal as a norm. We have men who openly act like women, and women who openly act like men, yet we're willing to listen to what they have to say anyway. When it's very clear that when you see something out of order, you have to consider the fact that you're dealing with an illness. And we have to understand that sick people make other people sick. So it's my responsibility and responsibility of other sane Africans to try to help our brothers and sisters. I'm not speaking out of hatred. I'm speaking out of intense love of our people. That we have to help each other. We have to come out of the madness of Europe. And when Africans in general, when we observe anything that's out of natural order, defense mechanism automatically kicks in.
Brother Kush, there's a bunch of folks who want to talk to you, so if you can show up on the answers, appreciate it. Thanks, Anonymous. Thanks for your call. Let's go to line one. Cassandra in Maryland. Cassandra, you're on with Brother Kush. Cassandra, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing, brother?
Go ahead.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, glad. Hey, brother, I'm really glad you bring forward this topic to the forefront. I just had one quick question. As you said, the feminization of the black males in our community, it used to be very subtle. Now it's definitely out of the closet. And you talk about the healing needs to begin at home. How would you address family members in our community when they come around and they make comments to the point that, we have family members, we have brothers and nephews and sisters that are into this lifestyle and need to embrace them? How would you address that, sir?
Well, it doesn't matter whether they're family or friends. We again, as long as they're black, we're operating out of a sense of love. And my advice would be to let's simply embrace our families, and let's try to direct them in towards information that will get them out of the behavior that's anti-African and that's really anti-life. And I'm not saying this is not some kind of a fairy tale, brother. We're not going to be able to save everybody. I know that. We have to try to work hard as we possibly can to save our people, but we're in a very serious fight. And at this point in time, there are very few of us who are serious, who are serious about this fight. And for the people in our family, we have to understand that Dr. John Henry Clark talked about in the Revolution, you don't have family and friends. You got people on this side, and I'm paraphrasing, and people on that side. So even for family, and this is with love, we have to tell them that they have to divest themselves from this anti-black lifestyle. They have to divest themselves from what hurts our community. and homosexuality, feminization is something that hurts our community, particularly for a lot of black women who are raising sons. You have to be very acutely aware of what's going on, and you have to understand that there is something called racism, white supremacy. So that's where I would start, because the story starts with the idea that we are not Europeans. We're an African people. We're the first people on planet Earth, and we have a very specific history that had the roles lined up. Spelled out for what a man is and for what a woman is. That's been very clear throughout history, and it's the reason why we were so successful for such a long period of time. So the bottom line is, and just short enough, the answer is we have to express love, but also teach. We learn so we can teach.
I appreciate that, brother. Let's keep the fight going, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Kasanji. Let's keep rolling. At line 5, Sister Matusala. Sister Matusala?
Matusala, yes, brother. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing real well. My question to you is, what do we do about our sons being effeminized? Do we boycott the athletes who are standing up for it? Do we boycott the entertainment industry that is saying it's okay and it is giving us these movies and people like Tyler Perry? Exactly what do we do? How do we get our sons back and make them understand that the path that they're going on is a path of destruction of their souls, of their minds, of the community? If you could give us some solutions, I greatly appreciate that. Now I'll listen to them off the air. Peace.
That's an excellent question, sister. I really appreciate that. Well, how do we do that is, first of all, and this is to the black women that are listening and who are reasonable. You know, a lot of us are not reasonable. You have to first and foremost seek a strong male out for your strong adult male brother out for your children, for your male children particularly, to be a jegna, as Professor Rudy tells us, to be a leader, to be an influence on your children's lives. Because as a woman, you cannot teach him how to be a man. You cannot show him all the different avenues and methods he must use to achieve manhood. Because most of us achieve malehood, but we don't achieve manhood. One of the things we got to do is not necessarily boycott, because they're going to get a heaping dose of the NFL, of sports and entertainment. No matter if you boycott in your own house, you're not able to basically stop your child from being influenced by it. I suggest really sitting with your child, your male and your female children, and making comments as they're watching the program, and letting them see what the tricks of the trade are. Explain to them what racism, white supremacy is. And again, we have to start to bring them out to these forums, bring them out to forums like the one we have in next month on the 12th of April. Because a lot of times in our community, the persons who are serious, we ask, what can I do? Well, you can start by participating. There are still people who are involved in the fight, who realize that there is a fight out here. And we have to understand that in order for us to be victorious, we have to get involved physically. And that's a very important. That there's still a lot of groups and organizations out here doing tackling relevant issues and doing relevant things in our community. That's the short answer.
All right, I keep going. Thanks, and that's a good question too, because a lot of sisters are rearing young men and looking for some sort of example to put before these young men. 800-450-7876, line 3. Joe's in D.C. Joe, you're on with Brother Kush.
Brother Carl, how you doing?
We're great.
Good. So, you made my day today, Carl. Look, I'm sitting here driving home from work as usual, just sweating and working hard, and you got Brother Kush on the station today. Dang. I mean, wonderful information. I appreciate it. Honestly, as one of your loyal listeners, I feel I can say this. I want him on the air more often. Because the way he's not compromising, he talks straight, direct answers, it really gives me that energy to continue on to, move forward and do the right thing in my life. You know what I'm saying? Now, Brother Kush, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, I watch the news and everything. I see Obama, he's over in Africa, talking to leaders. And what I'm noticing, he's always slipping in, y'all need to change the rebellion laws towards homosexuality. When the majority of our black African people in Africa don't even have potable water, food. I mean, this is like one of the things on a list of things. It's not even on the list of things that we need. It's not alone just to understand who we are as a people and just come up from the condition we're in. And he's always pushing it. So I want you to talk about that and just explain it to me. And, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. That's also a very important issue, and I touched on it earlier. But to get in depth with it very briefly, we have to understand that Obama's a part of a white supremacist machine. And I think that blacks have understood that now that time has passed and he's in his second term, that it doesn't matter the color of who the president is, as long as we don't ourselves decide to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, as long as we ourselves as Africans don't decide to do something for ourselves, no one's going to come in and save us, particularly coming out of the political or the business realm, of the white business realm, I should say. We got to understand that there is a competition going on this planet, and the races are competing with each other, whether you like it or not. That's the way it is, and we have to get into the competition. We have to gain back our respectability. We have to gain back our power. The way we're going to have to do that is those African leaders over in Mother Africa, the president of Uganda and the president of Gambia, the president of Kenya, and even the president of Nigeria, believe it or not, they're all fighting. They're slamming President Obama for his gay rights bullying, because that's what it all is. But we all know who's behind it. You have to look at the backers of Obama and look at the fact that, you know, most of the persons that work in the White House of a particular ethnic group. So we have to understand that is their agenda. And he was put in place to put their agenda forward. And that's happening because, again, we are the last holdout. If they can just get African people to accept this misbehavior, if they can get black men to not understand their role and what they must do, then, of course, they will continue to be successful and even more successful.
All right, Mother Africa,
right there. All the resources that it has.
Hang on, Brother Kush, because we got to take a break. Joe, thanks for your call. 800-450-7876 is the number to call. Speak to Brother Kush. Take your phone calls for him, folks, in about 2.5 minutes. How many people sitting with us and guest of Brother Kush? Brother Kush says this move to a feminization of our black man is being done deliberately, and it's not by accident, folks. What are your thoughts? 800-450-7876. Brother Kush, were you finished with what you were saying, or do you want to take another call?
I wanted to wrap it up by saying, you know, when the brother mentioned about the fact that Obama's over there spreading this message of not discriminating, it's got nothing to do with discrimination. He's crossing cultural lines, and it's very offensive considering the fact that his father's from Kenya. But recently in Sierra Leone, they discovered a 153-carat diamond worth $6 million, and Africans are not going to be able to benefit from that stone. This is one of the poorest countries in the world, and it is ironic that, again, we're pushing not food, not potable water, not weird, but the United States is pushing homosexuality and the homosexual agenda over and above pushing the needs of the people. And it's very interesting, and you can clearly understand the workings of racism, white supremacy when you look at the fact that the people are disconnected from what's even under their very feet.
All right, let's keep moving. 800-450-7876, line 1. Fred's in D.C. Fred, you're on with Brother Kush.
Oh, good evening to both of you. Brother Kush, you are exactly right. The word homophobia means nothing, since phobia means having a fear of something, and that's not what this is about. But following that statement, does your book, Ambush, cover the correct terminology for gays that hate and fear heterosexuals? And my final question is, what does openly gay mean? And I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, well, now it's not a book; it's actually a lecture called Ambushed, and I think the second part of your question was there's 3 parts. The lecture Ambush is going to be again on June the 7th. If you want more information about that, you can contact us at our website www.pkbstore.com, or you can call us 207-7886 on the area code 202. Openly gay is when we're talking about. Historically, persons, particularly in our community, who were practicing a homosexual lifestyle were, quote unquote, in the closet. They would hide their so-called homosexuality. And with the advent of this this brutal media storm that's hit us, where we're being told we have to accept this lifestyle. Not only accept it, but we must participate in this lifestyle in one way or another. Persons who describe themselves as homosexuals have come out of the closet and put straight people in the closet. And of course, like you said, I don't ascribe to terms like homophobia. I would contend that persons who are the homosexual bullies, are nomophobes, suffering from nomophobia. So it's very clear, just from a biological perspective, what we're supposed to do with our reproductive organs. And we know that we cannot produce life with that lifestyle. That's what we call a death style. I think that answers your question.
All right, let's keep moving. I said a lot of folks want to talk to you, Brother Kush. Let's go to line 5. Samora in Virginia.
Yes, hello, Dr. Kush. It's a pleasure to speak to you. I have a comment and just 2 questions, and I totally and completely agree with the socioeconomic influences, especially with the media, in regards to how these men or young boys being feminized. I actually work with various populations and counsel a lot of men and women in regards to how they should raise their families, how they should rear their children from pregnancy all the way up until 5 years. But I do know one thing, in fact, when I worked in this realm, and I will say that the government is involved in pushing things like soy milk to the babies, where they know that soy milk, the formula that they push on these young mothers, it affects the child from birth. And just one little 4 ounce of the soy milk that they issue them when they come out of the hospital is equivalent to 8 birth control pills, which is going to affect the baby, long term. If it affects grown adults, it will affect small babies, and they will think that they were born gay because they end up growing breasts, and then the male organs, they're not working properly when they, get into adolescence. And they're not even able to get an erection because they have been pumped up with soy. Everything that you see around you has soy, chewing gum, just everything. So I do agree with you on those things that are being imposed, through, our society. But what I wanted to ask you is why has the church been infiltrated and not doing anything about it, especially in the D.C. metro area? When I moved in this area, I have never in my life, and I served several years in the military, I have never seen such a high concentration of men, especially in the church, that are just flamboyant gay, and that is where we're supposed to be going to for a so-called place of refuge. And they're being molested. They're molesting little boys. They're molesting little kids. I want to ask you, why has the church been infiltrated? And if the women are not capable of, rearing young boys, who is going to be in the household to rear these young boys if the men are gay, or they're in jail, or they're coming out of jail, or we send them to church and they're being molested by gay men. So I just, there are even conferences that are being held in Atlanta. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's well known, where pastors and preachers tap him, online just to get with him and go to these conferences about being gay, and then they go home to their wives and their children. And also, I really want to know about the church infiltration and how do we get the kids, that are in homes with single moms who need to have that male figure role, but they have nowhere to go. And I'll take the question offline, sir. I'll take the question offline.
I really appreciate your comments, because you brought an aspect that we hadn't previously discussed, and that is the chemical aspect. You're right. Soy products do cause a tremendous amount of harm, particularly to males, and it is causing us to grow breasts and, again, to decrease our sperm production and even our development of our organs, male organs. But clearly, the church is targeted because that's where our people are. Again, most black people, for lack of understanding history, have embraced religion as opposed to spirituality. And this is on purpose. This religion was given to us. Our religion was given to us first by the Arabs, that gave us Islam, and then the Europeans gave us their version of Christianity. We all know that there's an African version of Christianity. But the bottom line is that we have adopted our religious ideology from people who very well have taken everything from us, and they very well intend to stay on top of us. And so we must understand that, the whole incident didn't surprise me when, I don't know if you're talking about Eddie Long or not, but we know about the incident with him and molesting the boys in his church, and nothing really being done about it except that he was given even more money to continue. We also know that recently T.D. Jakes' son was arrested basically on a indecent exposure, homosexual charge. His son was recently, but we know T.D. Jakes has spoken out against homosexuality, but they're saying that his son got in trouble because of his father's denial of his homosexuality, which is quite ridiculous. The church is getting to our youth, and we have to make a direct correlation, and this absolutely incenses gays when we talk about child molestation and later on developing into sexual deviancy. But there's a direct correlation. There have been plenty of studies done on the subject, and we know for a fact that when you look around and you see people that are acting out in abnormal fashion, when you see men that are classifying themselves as homosexual out there, if you have an honest conversation with the majority of them, they will tell you that at some point in time they were molested as a child. When you see a young lady that's attempting to act or be a man, most of the time they will tell you that they have been molested as a child. There's been plenty of studies done on that. But it is very clear that the church has to be the epicenter of the battle, because, again, we deny this misbehavior just based on our belief in the Bible or our belief in the Quran. And if they can just attack it from a religious perspective, then they can win. So, and they can't win on a historical perspective, because you can't reinterpret history when we understand that our ancestors, like Dr. Chancellor Williams, laid it all down for us, And I'm going to tell you another person, Dr. Amos Wilson, is a gem that we don't really talk about a lot, that's given us some brilliant ideas and thoughts about who we are, what happened to us, and what we're supposed to do in terms of solutions. But that's a very relevant point you make. And I believe you're making a point, that the battle is really in the church now. They must convince the churches to accept it wholeheartedly. But it's been so successful because most of us has turned a blind eye to it. We love our sons, and we love our daughters, and we try to attempt to think that somehow they're going to come out of it. Like black people try to ignore racism, like somehow it's just going to disappear without us doing something. But it doesn't magically disappear.
Stay right there, Brother Kush. And thanks for your call, because we got to take another quick break. 800-450-7876, the number to call. Speak to Brother Kush. Take your calls in about 2.5 minutes. Thank you for joining us, folks. And again, our guest is Brother Kush, PKV. He'll tell you how to reach him, and he's going to have some speaking engagements coming up if you're in the DMV area, or if you want to get in touch with him through some of the programs that he's done on video as well. He'll also tell you more about that. 800-450-7876, the number to call. Speak to Brother Kush. Brother Kush, are you finished up, or do you want to take another call? A bunch of folks want to talk to you.
We have to look at when she talked about the influence of the feminization of black males and the introduction of homosexuality in the church. We need to look no further than what the Catholic Church did to the Native Americans in terms of freakish homosexual behavior and how they destroyed Native Americans through homosexuality. That's documented. And you want to read about that or learn more about that. Actually, there's some good documentaries about it. One is called The Canary Effect. Also, of course, 500 Nations, and a good bit of other programs. Some excellent reading also on the subject of what the Catholic Church has done to the Native American community, particularly destroyed them through homosexuality.
800-450-7876. Go back to our callers. Let's go to line 6. Mrs. Richardson in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Mrs. Richardson.
Yes, good evening, dear, and good afternoon and evening to this great man, Brother Kush. I love him very much, and everything he's espoused, I've espoused a million times on this station since years gone by, and our people doesn't seem to get it, Brother Kush. What is it that the masses seem to be? They want to be in the company of these folk, these Europeans, and they've been brainwashed, like you're saying, to the hilt, to where they don't even see it. They can't. If you can't see something, or either think it or can kind of detect or comprehend what's going on, you'll never know. And I don't believe the masses will ever know, because it's the way it's set through the design, like you're saying. Something that's designed is so cancerous, if it's malignant, what are you going to do? So I'm going to say to you, what do you feel that these people's character? I'm concerned because they, like you're saying, they're the ones ruling our president. You know, I look at them. They're the ones in charge of white supremacy. The 1/10, like Dr. Francis Welsing says, there's only 1/10 of them that's controlling the whole 6 or 7 billion other folks. This is scary. And I tell my people, I say, we don't wake up and smell some coffee, something's going to happen to us because we're not going to be here. And the way that we're not being able to reproduce through this homosexuality behavior, and Carl had a wonderful doctor on there saying what they do. It's not me saying what they do. I've said it in the past what they do, but nobody takes it serious. They're having 6, 7, 10 partners and having this free sex, and it's even on cable. They have cable homosexual stations.
Just a put in a question for him because they're running out of time.
Yes, well, Brother Kush, could you please address me when I'm off and tell me, when are we going to recognize that these people are at will? They at will do what they want to do. They're not concerned with black people thinking of it. You remember that saying, Carl and Kush, a white man does not have to respect the black man, and how that sentence go, I forget, but you know what I'm saying. They don't want to, they'll never respect black people and appreciate their strength because they know what would happen. And God bless you. And please speak to the at will that they have with us. Thank you.
But see, I appreciate your comments, sister. You know, appreciate you every time you call. We have to understand that that's why Dr. Francis Welsing says self-respect is the foundation for justice. So we have to understand that we have to respect ourselves first. My brother, Taraka Sankara, he said we no longer have high ethical standards when it comes to presenting ourselves before the world. You know, the tactless public display of scantily clad women symbolically represents her as some sort of crude sex toy, available for any perverse desire. He said that the misguided mentality and behaviors of our young boys who refuse to grow into manhood seek validation through unisex clothing trends, ornamental fashion statements, and hyper-effeminate emotional reactions.
And the thing of it is that this white world supremacy thing is fed to us, like you said, through the media. Our women and men have bought in. Some of us have bought into it. But the thing of it is that a man's job is protector and provider for his family. And if you go down that road, you're going to be okay. In reference to homosexuality, we are homo sapiens. If we become homosexuals, then civilization ceases to exist.
All right. Thanks, Leon. Brother Kush, you want to respond to what he said?
The only thing I want to respond is that, you know, we're showing signs that we're collapsing in the system. I mean, every day you can walk out, you can see a woman with purple, red, blood red hair, gold hair, blonde wigs. We reach a point where it's almost universal hatred of ourselves, again, due to mostly the media.
All right. Let's keep rolling. Let's go to line 1. Abdul in New Jersey. Abdul, you're on with Brother Kush.
Yes, Hotep, peace. How you doing? This is Abdul from New Jersey.
Yeah, bro, I'm listening to the program, man, and it's making me feel good, man, because you rarely hear a voice of black people speaking, showing that they love themselves. And you definitely shown, brother, that you love African people, you love us, and we need to be thinking and doing something different. And, you know, I just want to make a comment and question real quick. You know, I was reading an article the other week by Robert Mugabe on his anniversary, his birthday or something, and, you know, he was just speaking about how they're forcing homosexuality down our throat, like you brothers had already said on the program. But he said simply, you know, to disagree with homosexuality, to disagree with European ethical standards does not mean that we hate Europeans. It means that we just love ourselves more. And, you know, I think a lot of times our people get it confused because when we're speaking about loving ourselves and getting back to some traditional ethical standards on who a man should be with and who a woman should be with, and, you know, it comes back down to more the question of, if you have a problem with African people loving themselves and disagreeing with behavior that is detrimental to their survival, then in fact you're saying that you hate African people.
Yes.
You know, and so, you know, we got to look at it, and you're covering the whole spectrum, but we have to really consider
how important it is for us to gain control of the three primary socialization institutions that the black family has. And that's the family unit, which you're speaking about, about taking control of our homes again and what our children consume on a regular basis, having that discussion with them. The secondly is education. We have to regain control of our children's educational process, because they're funneling the homosexuality through the educational system as well.
Yes.
So that's very important. He's speaking about the religion. That's the primary institution that socializes any group of people in a culture. Family, education, and religion. Those are primary. And right now, the black family, our family, education, and religion is under the control of European domination, white supremacy, racism. And we need to really rebuild some institutions. So that we can,
Abdul, because we're running out of time, and I want to give him a chance to respond. There's a bunch of other folks want to speak to as well.
I know I'm being long-winded, and I apologize for that. But just one question, brother, because this boils down to institution building, and it sounds like you have some institution that's being built. How can someone who maybe can't do much support your organization? How about, maybe volunteering or economic contributions? How can we support that, brother?
Yes, well, that's why we talk about our monthly Communiversity series right here in the DMV that we have on a monthly basis, of which our next one is going to be on April the 12th in Washington, D.C. You can get more information about that by calling us at 202-207-7886. Get on our email list also to find out what we're doing. You can reach us on info@pkvvillage.org. That's info@pkvvillage.org. And again, yes.
Let's go to line 5. Khalifa in Southampton. Khalifa, can you make it quick for us?
Yes, sir, I will make it quick. How you doing? All right, look. So, 2 questions. One, I worked overtime this week. I got some extra money, and I was going to get these Jordans, but I said, nah, let me get something that's worth, something that's really going to help me out. And my boy told me that apparently Kush and PKV came out with a new DVD, so I wanted to get information on that. And the second thing is, when did they, the thing I don't understand as far as homosexuality is, when did they make it okay for them to adopt straight children? Like, I don't remember
I tell you what, Khalifa, thanks for your questions. Brother Kush, you're going to have to do it in 20 seconds for us. I'm sorry about that.
well, 20 seconds, I can answer those questions, but please give us a call. Don't be afraid. Give us a call, 202-207-7886, and stop being afraid to fight, black people. Stop being afraid to fight. Or you can reach us at info@pkvvillage.org.
All right. Thanks, Brother Kush. We got to do it again real soon. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.